Mark Scout, who works in Lumon Industries Macro Data Refinement (MDR) division, discovers he is being promoted to department head in light of coworker Petey's sudden departure. His first task is to orientate Helly, the replacement, who wakes up in a conference room with no memory of who or where she is. After being given an orientation and learning her name, she demands and is allowed to leave but finds she is unable to do so. She then sees a video explaining that she has undergone the severance procedure, which split her memories to create a version of herself that will only exist inside the workplace. The outside version of Mark, a former professor grieving his wife's death and living in the Lumon-subsidized town of Kier, encounters a man claiming to be Petey who gives him a letter with cryptic instructions. Mark returns home and interacts with his neighbor Mrs. Selvig, unaware that she is his boss, senior manager Harmony Coble. The previous day, Helly undergoes the severance procedure as a new employee, implanting a microchip inside her brain. At the office, the severed Helly is introduced to her new co-workers, Dylan and Irving, and is instructed that her job is to sort encrypted numbers into digital bins as part of macro data refinement. During a welcome party headed by floor manager Milchick, Helly becomes uncomfortable and attempts to escape by writing her outside self, or outie, a note of resignation, but the elevator shuts down. Mark claims this is due to Lumon's built-in code detectors which prevent unauthorized communication between selves. Mark claims responsibility and is put into the break room as punishment. Later, Irving hallucinates a black liquid covering his desk and is administered a wellness check, where counselor Ms. Casey recites various facts about Irving's outie, with Irving forced to react neutrally. At the wellness center, Irving also meets Bert, the head of the two-person optics and design department. Outside, Mark once again meets with Petey, who explains that he has reintegration sickness from reversing his severance. Petey tells Mark of the break room and plays a recording of himself repeatedly reading out a stringent apology, with Milchick forcing him to repeat the lines. Mark gives Petey shelter in his house. As he is taking a shower, Petey suffers hallucinations and collapses. Petey tells Mark that mysterious benefactors helped him undergo the reintegration procedure. While Mark is at work, his sister Devon and brother-in-law Rickon deliver a book authored by the latter to his doorstep, which Mrs. Selvig steals and takes to Lumon to check for hidden messages. As she searches Mark's house, Petey recognizes her as Coble and flees the house, suffering more hallucinations and eventually collapsing at a convenience store. At the office, Helly learns her resignation request sent to her outie has been denied. Mark thwarts her various attempts to smuggle other messages to her outie. To help Helly understand why she is working at Lumon, Irving suggests they show her the office's perpetuity wing, which documents the history of Lumon's founder, Keir Egan, and his succeeding dynasty. After attempting another escape, Helly is brought to the break room, where Milchick forces her to repeatedly recite an apologetic passage. After his shift, Mark follows ambulance traffic to the convenience store and witnesses Petey being carried away by paramedics after his breathing stops. Mark rushes home to hide evidence of Petey's stay, but is interrupted when Petey's abandoned cell phone rings.